So I slipped a comment into one of the videos last week about Dutching, and that I had a Dutching strategy, and that fired off a few comments. And I thought, oh yeah, that's fine, because I'll just link to the blog post and the video that I did on that. And it turned out it's been absolutely years since I've actually done one. I was pretty shocked and amazed actually at how long it had been since I last talked about it, because the Dutching calculator in BetAngel is a really useful tool. It was introduced a long time ago. We first introduced it in 2006. It went through several upgrades, but I don't think I've really covered it very properly. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. Please like and comment on the video below. That will allow me to produce better quality videos and more of them in the future. If you're interested in learning to trade successfully on sports, then why not visit the BetAngel Academy, where we have more detailed videos. So Dutching is something you're probably familiar with, and on a previous video I was talking about how the overround has basically shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk to the point where it's like negligible. It's absolutely tiny. And the great thing about BetAngel is we have a very advanced Dutching calculator contained within it. It not only does Dutching, but it does other things, and very clever things within that calculator. Stuff that maybe you're not aware of, because I haven't really covered it at all. And one of the benefits of the overround shrinking and shrinking is that Dutching becomes a really, really viable strategy. Now, if you're not familiar with Dutching, basically, traditionally you would look at a very competitive horse race, and you'd sort of say, well, is the winner going to win or not? Because if he's going to win, I'll back him, and if he's not going to win, I'll lay him. But the advantage that you get with Dutching is, and I'll save you the story of why it's called Dutching, that can be for another video. But the advantage of Dutching is that you can actually cover more than one selection within a market. So, for example, you could have a 10-runner race, and you can actually say to it, okay, I want to win £30 if any of those first 4 win. It's a powerful thing to do, because rather than having to pick the winner, you can just sort of say, well, I think the winner's going to come out of this group of 4 or 5 horses, and therefore you just say, okay, I'm going to place a bet that covers those 4 or 5 horses out of that field of 10. And the great thing about what we did with Dutching is, traditionally what you would do is you would place 2 bets or more within the market, and then you would get a variable return. So you'd say, here's my stake of £50. How much am I going to win if I cover all those 3 or 4 horses out of this 28-runner competitive handicap at Ascot or somewhere? And then it would basically throw back a potential return for you. But when we looked at Dutching, we introduced the Dutching tool back in 2006. Believe it or not, it's 12 years old, although it's changed a lot since the first introduction, because we introduced that version of Dutching originally. So you would basically place a bet, you'd say how many selections you want it to cover in the field, and then it would return some money to you. So the first thing that we did, of many, is we actually flipped that completely on its head, and we sort of said, well, how much do you want to win if any of those 4 or 5 go on to win that particular race? So we completely turned it on its head. Rather than you putting a stake down of £50 and then wondering what your return would be, because it could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 20, all dependent upon the price at which you choose to back in the market, we flipped it totally around and we said, how much would you like to win if this happens? And then BetAngel calculates the stake, and then you decide if you want to place your bet. So it's really simple. You go into the market, you click on the selections that you want, you nominate that you want to, say, win £20, and then BetAngel does the calculation for you, and you press the place bets button, and away it goes. Now, you can actually automate Dutch capabilities. It's not quite as advanced as the manual tool, because the manual tool is designed to be very highly refined, but it is possible, if you want to automate some element of Dutching, that you can do that through the automation. So check out the forum and the scripts that are available, so the rules files that are available in the forum, that will allow you to do that. So yeah, the basic Dutch position was back these 2, these 3, these 4 runners, and you're going to get some money back. We turned it totally on its head and said, how much would you like to win if this occurs? Now, of course, you can do it on racing, you can do it on football, because you could say, I want to back 1-0, 1-all, 2-1, 1-2, but we're not going to cover that position there. And it works exactly the same way. You can say, if any of these correct scores come in, I want to win 20 quid. And it's in a competitive handicap in racing, you could say, if any of these 4 horses win, I want to win 20 quid. So you flip everything on its head effectively. You say, this is how much I'd like to win, and this is what's going to make this occur. That's the essence of the way that we created the Dutching tool within BetAngel. But it gets better, because we then took it up another level. I can't remember when we did that, probably a year or two after we introduced the tool. And you can actually nominate how much you want to win on each individual selection. And this was incredibly complex to do, and it took a lot of pain and effort and fiddling around with spreadsheets to work out how this was going to happen. So the great thing about the way that this works is you can say, okay, I want to win £30, £20, whatever you want, if any of the first 3 runners go on to win this race. However, I'm going to break even on the 4th, I'm going to make 50 quid on the 5th, and I want to lose 100 if the 6th runner comes in, because that's unlikely to happen, but that's the loss that I'm prepared to take. So the variable Dutching that we've got within the BetAngel Dutching calculator allows you to do that. So again, you could do it on football. You could say, well, I think they're going to win, so I'm going to win £20 if they win 1-0, 2-1, 3-1, 2-0. All, you know, you could decide however you want to mix that up. But if they end up drawing, I'm willing to break even. And if they lose, then you can cap your loss effectively with that as well. You can actually nominate for each individual selection what you're willing to gain or lose. And you can even set it at a break even as well. So you can say you're looking at a really competitive race and you think 5 horses have got a chance out of 20, but only 3 of them have got a real chance. You can basically say, I want to win £50 on the front 3 and I'm willing to break even on the next 2 because they've got a chance, and if they come out it would be unexpected, but I want to cover them off. I want to make sure that I don't lose money. So yeah, it's very, very flexible. There's an awful lot that you can do with it. There are additional functions as well that I'm not going to explain specifically in this video, because they almost sit into different categories of strategy. They're not considered sort of basic Dutching strategies. But if you want to understand exactly how to use the calculator, I'm going to do another video which will go alongside this one this week, and I'll include it at the end of this video that can link to it, which will just walk you through that particular process, going from basic Dutching to a predefined profit target to variable Dutching. So I'll include that at the end of this video and on a separate video. But yeah, check it out because it is very flexible. And the big advantage you've got nowadays when you're Dutching is that the book overround is absolutely tiny. When we invented the tool back in 2006, it was quite large. But the market's so efficient now that rather than just betting on one thing, you can bet on a whole host of things, and the overround is effectively spread amongst the book on the selections that you bet. Basically, the amount of commission that you pay is spread across those runners as well. And it's just a very, very efficient way of covering multiple selections, getting a relatively high win rate, and doing it in a very, very efficient manner, simply because the book percentage is so tiny. But anyway, what I suggest you do is fire up BetAngel, go to the Dutching tab, and then follow the instructions that's included in the other video.